Hello, everyone. We have news. Well, obviously, draft. But we didn't draft a corner. How about that? We got Garrett Bradbury out of North Carolina State at number 18 overall. Kind of shocked we didn't have to move up because we kind of pigeonholed ourselves in a nice little, oh, they need to go offensive line. But he's 6'3", 300 pounds. He's a true tactician that really plays with leverage in the run game. Uh, Body positioning and hand placement, very, very good. He's very effective at taking blocking angles and working on his combo blocks. He's able to find leverage points and does well when exploiting them. But I wouldn't say he's really someone that moves people. He's not really a mauler type. He's more of the athletic, kind of that stereotypical prototype that you think of when you think, oh, Gary Kubiak, zone running scheme, and all those good things. Probably a little undersized, but the trade off is athleticism. So when it comes to run blocking, he kind of has a little disadvantage in the power aspect, but he kind of makes up for it because he plays with great timing and technique and just the quality of his punches. Very good. Pass blocking, I think he takes consistent pass sets and he's effectively able to kind of just frame rushers out, and extremely good foot speed, which kind of goes with his athleticism, and it allows him to stay square and also just kind of mirror the pass rushers when he's able to do so. So he's also able to keep rushers kind of at bay and at the end of his reach, and it's a usually well-timed punch that does that. And he's very efficient when he's left uncovered. He's very good at looking for work. He doesn't just sit there, which is kind of nice. Kind of just proves that, he does enjoy playing the game of football, which you need on the offensive line because it's not necessarily the most fun position. You don't really get much glory. So you really need to find guys who enjoy it. And then space blocking, he's able just to glide to the second level. Like it's almost a thing of beauty sometimes. And once again, great timing with it. And balances really well. He's able to kind of seal his target using his balancing and his really good angles. And very efficient with just leading off tackle. He's a center that can actually pull. Kind of rare to get those. And we saw Elflien, when healthy in 2017, able to do that from the center position as well. And now we just have two guys that can do that, which is kind of nice. And he's able to hit his targets consistently moving in space, and he has great body control to do that. Once again, that's a real key thing when it comes to these zone systems and these Kubiak things that are typically based on these outside stretch runs and these bootlegs and things like that. You need to be able to have offensive linemen that move. Garrett fits perfectly into the system. So power, he knows how to play with leverage and technique, but to really maximize and to generate power, that's how he has to do it. He's not the biggest power guy. His anchor is a little average, and it's kind of better than what you would expect. He is a former tight end, so we got enough of those. Obviously, now, like, I know some people view that as a negative on O'Neal. I think this is more of a positive with Garrett because Garrett's also played some defensive end in his background, and so he does have more power than O'Neal does. And something that probably does help him with that is the fact that he's 6'3" compared to O'Neal, who is much, much taller. You have a lower center of gravity there, and so he's kind of just able to anchor down. Even though it's not a great anchor, it's only decent average at best, but he's able to kind of, there's enough there to where he's not getting exploded and blown up every play, which is good. And whew, and he's a hard finisher though. Like, I will say that, like, he kind of has this little nasty streak to him a little bit. I wouldn't say it's, he, once again, he's not a mauler, but he does have a streak to him. He has a little bit of a mean streak, and he is determined to finish the block, which I think we could use some more of those guys, especially after, Remmers and Tom Compton were, not good. So feet, very light and nimble on his feet, and it's almost springy, his change of direction. It's a very impressive change of direction. They even showed it on, I don't know, I was watching the ESPN one, but they showed it on that where they had one play where his change of direction was just on a dime, which is extremely rare for a center or an offensive lineman in general. And when moving laterally, he's one of the more efficient linemen in this class, if not the most efficient lineman. And he's able to get the reach blocks on a really rare, consistent basis, and rarely gets flat-footed, and really does a really good job at moving through contact. So hands, punch really compact, efficient, and effective. Has excellent timing, and location of his punches are very, very good. They're very solid. He kind of knows what he's doing. He's kind of a technician again. And he's rarely out of place. He kind of knows what he's doing, which once again, we can use that along the offensive line, considering what has happened the past couple of years here. And his versatility, I wouldn't be too surprised if he has played other interior offensive line positions. They could be looking at him as a guard potentially, but I think I would leave him at center. He has an excellent snap to step speed kind of ratio, if that makes sense. Like, just his get off from giving the snap is really good, and it's kind of rare to find it. I think he's a pure zone scheme guy, and because that does focus more on his athleticism and lateral mobility, and wouldn't be too reliant on his actual functional play strength. Now, since he has played both guard and center, I think I would leave him in at center, but he has played both, and in Kubiak's offense, obviously he has all of the athletic traits, but obviously the one that this kind of throws off a bit is Pat Elflien, because he's been the center the past 2 years, even though he wasn't fully healthy last year, and I think that was pretty evident while he was, playing, because he was significantly better his rookie year, and kind of started off on the pup. He didn't really play till week 4, and even then it looked like he was kind of rushed back, and who knows, maybe a full off season of not being hurt and having surgeries really, really helps the man. So, but like I said, Bradbury at center. And even though Elflien was a right guard at Ohio State, I think since he transitioned from right guard to center and showed promises at center, he could probably move from center to left guard, because moving over to center is probably the hardest one to do just because of how cerebral it is. So it gives him less to think about, and it's a more natural position for Elflien anyway. And even though he didn't grade very well, Elflien is a very good space blocker, kind of in... I don't want to compare him to Travis Frederick, but it's kind of a similar thing where Travis Frederick is one of the best space blocking centers, and he really didn't grade well when it comes to all the measurement, testing, combine stuff. So there is that. And also I think moving him to guard, moving Elflien to guard, really limits all the offensive line movement shifts, which I think is helpful after we've seen what this has been able to do over the past couple of years. Remember Brandon Fusco when he went from right to left, and it was just terrible. You had TJ Clemmings, who sucked on the right side. He wasn't very good on the right side. And then you put him over to left, and he was just atrocious. It was really bad. And obviously last year with Mike Remmers going from right tackle to right guard, there are very prominent things that say in the recent history of Minnesota Vikings here that maybe we should stop moving them around a little bit. And this one gives the least movement, and not only that, but Elflien goes back to a more natural position of guard. And I also think Bradbury was possibly the best scheme fit offensive lineman in this class. I think he was up there in that. I think Chris Lindstrom was the other one that you would really argue for, who went higher than I thought he would. I didn't expect Atlanta to take him at 14, but here we are. And Personally, I don't like giving out really high grades like this usually because I don't like feeling, kind of like this jaded fanboy kind of thing. But I honestly think this is kind of an A kind of grade because I wasn't sure we would even be able to get Bradbury at 18. I really was thinking that we kind of messed up a little bit because we didn't trade up before the Giants because the Giants kind of have this need at both center and right tackle. And Shermer kind of looks for a lot of the same things that Kubiak would look for. So, yeah, kind of led to me thinking Bradbury's at 17 right ahead of us, and that's going to really suck, but at least there are some tackle options. That's what I was thinking, and they took Dexter Lawrence. I was like, we can actually get our guy, and here we are. So this was my personal hope. I kind of thought this was the ideal fit for the Vikings, and here we are. So I'm a little surprised in some ways that they weren't enticed with the corners, even though everyone would have erupted with, with the whole pitchforks and the mob right up to Egan. But they did have their pick of the litter of the corners, and they decided to go offensive line. So I think they're starting to learn that even if they do, it seems like in the past they have proven they value the corners over some of the other positions. And last year it kind of seemed like they did value corner over offensive line, and maybe that's why they didn't this year, either whether they learned maybe we need to reevaluate this or just because they have the corner from last year. Regardless, I think this is a great draft pick, and I would like to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Until next time, I bid you all adieu.